welcome you guys back. I wanted to check in today. We had an awesome, fun girls' day. So we've got Emma in the back, and she worked off last night, so she's not slept and she's really tired. And then Lindsay, for the first time, got a manicure today. She's showing you her nails. And Emma and I both got pedicures. But the part I really want to talk to you about is the kombucha class we did. So I want to talk a little bit first about the benefits of kombucha, and I've been drinking it now probably for 3-4 months. So I'm trying to do one a week because they're so expensive. And kombucha's really got a lot of health benefits, especially for your gut. They provide a lot of probiotics, and they also, she mentioned some benefits today that I didn't realize, but like vitamin B, vitamin C, and there's all kinds of things that you can do with it. Like she mentioned a hair rinse, like it was really good for your hair. So anyway, it has a lot of benefits to it. And so I decided, I found this class. It was about an hour drive for us, and I decided I wanted us to do that because if we could figure out a way to make it cheaper and you could drink it more often, then that would be even better. So this lady that did the class was awesome. Her name was Beth, and she said that they drink it every day. And she also mentioned that like if they're working outside and getting really, like working in their garden or whatever, getting really hot and sweaty, that they may drink 3 a day. So I really am excited about learning to make it. So we went to the class, and she did a demonstration about how to make it. And the cool thing is it's made from what's called a SCOBY, which is the strangest, I've never heard of it before. I didn't even realize that's what it was called. And it's this really thick, gelatinous-like substance that forms on the top of the liquid. And that's what has the benefits in it. And so for the class, we got our own starter kit. So I don't know, I just thought it was really fun. I feel like we had a really great day. And this farm that we went to offers all kinds of classes on a pretty routine basis. So I feel like I'm going to want to take some additional classes there. Like she mentioned a cooking class coming up, and sourdough bread making, and all kinds of things. So anyway, we've had a really, really fun girls' day, but I wanted to hop on and mention about the kombucha. And I'm telling you, I haven't done it yet, but I'll show you guys. Once we get it going, I'll do some filming and show you guys how it looks. But it seems like it's super easy. Like she had hers there that had been fermenting, 10 or 11 days, she said? 11 days is where they like it. So the longer you let it ferment, the stronger it is. If you do it at 7 days, you need to let it do 7 days, she said. And at 7 days, it's going to have a sweeter taste. And the longer you go after that, it becomes stronger, maybe a little more sour. So I'm excited to get started and be able to have this more affordably, because honestly, the ingredients are, if you buy them, they're going to be bulk. So you're going to be able to, have a lot of kombucha. So like her starter, her little jug thing, it's like a gallon, and she got 6 bottles out of that ferment. So anyway, I'm just super stoked. And then after you do the base tea or whatever you want to call it, then you add your flavors and let it ferment a little longer. So she had all kinds of flavors we got to try. It was almost like going to a kombucha bar, which I didn't ever get to do. The girls did that in Colorado, and I missed it, but it was really fun. So then we had Chick-fil-A. I just have to throw out what all we did, and that was really cool. And then we went and got our manicures, pedicures at our favorite spot called Free Coats, which is a non-toxic nail bar. So we love it there. This is like my 3rd time and Emma's 2nd time, and then this was Lindsay's 1st time. So yay, we had a really fun girls' day. So I want you guys to check out kombucha if you haven't tried it before. It has a lot of great benefits, and I find it to be, it's really an acquired taste, and I'm really starting to like it. So, and I think it's going to be even better to do it myself. Okay guys, so I'm picking up today. We went to the kombucha class yesterday, and I wanted to pick up because I'm actually going to start my process today, and I thought it would be kind of fun to film that for you guys. So I have 4 cups of water, filtered water. Everything with this, the way she talked in the class yesterday, It needs to be filtered, it needs to be organic, and that's going to give you the best result. If it's somehow, I guess, not clean or whatever, then that's a big deal as far as, I guess, making the kombucha or killing your SCOBY. And I don't want to kill my SCOBY. And you'll get to see it here in a second. So this is going to come to a boil. And in our little bags, we got all the things we need. So I got my sugars in here. It needed to be organic sugar, raw sugar. The tea bags are organic. So everything we need to get started is in here. So we're going to be doing a basic black tea kombucha. It's like a base, so I'm going to add flavoring once it does this first ferment. So I'm getting ready with my tea bags. And when that comes to a boil, I'll take it off the water and we'll let the tea steep in there for 10 minutes. So while that's coming to a boil, let me take a second. I am going to clean the jar. Now she was very specific and said that everything needs to be clean. Let me grab it with white vinegar. So I'm going to pour some in a bowl because before you handle the SCOBY, you're supposed to clean your hands with it. Okay, so I've got my vinegar in the bowl to wash my hands, but I'm also, she suggested rinsing out your container, which I have to tell you guys about this container. It's so cool. So I got this at the show you at the class yesterday. She had 4, and she told the coolest story. These came from her dad when he first bought the farm they had in Franklin. His first endeavor was turkey farming, and these are actually waterers. So they had a little red plastic part that's screwed onto the bottom, but they had water in them that you put out for your turkeys. I thought it was the coolest story. And I thought the jars were so neat, and she was using these for her kombucha, and it was just right, just perfect size-wise. So I couldn't help but buy one. Now it's a waiting game. I just have to let this come to a boil and let this tea steep. Okay, so this water's come to a pretty good boil. I'm just going to slide it off the heat. Drop in the tea bags, and then I'm just going to let that steep for 10 minutes. All right, so that's got to steep. I'm all set up with everything else, but while we're waiting, I'm going to show you the SCOBY. It looks like an science experiment gone bad, but it's layers, and it was gelatinous looking. She took hers out to show us how to change it out because all the teas that she brought had already been through this first fermenting process, so she was ready to change them out and bottle them, and then at that point she would add her flavors, which is what I'm going to try to do. But this is the SCOBY. He'll go, and to know that the SCOBY's healthy, there was a couple of hints that she gave us. If it sinks to the bottom, then that's a sign that your SCOBY has died. So you wouldn't want to use that because then that could be getting into a contaminated state. Also, they said look for mold, but she said typically if it molds, it will sink to the bottom. So that was a surefire way to know. So she said it's not hard, that normally you don't have any trouble with that. Okay, so the timer just went off. So I'm going to take the lid off and remove the tea bags. Hot tamales. All right. Now I'm going to stir in. She has it measured out. You're supposed to put 1 cup of sugar into the tea. And then I'm going to stir that till it's dissolved. And then I'm filtering water because I have to fill my jug up about 1/3 of the way with just filtered water. And then I add the sweet tea and the SCOBY. And then I finished filling it up with water. So what was cool is she had all sorts of flavored teas. She had a raspberry, a peach. She did the black tea. She did this bergamot, which we decided was probably the Earl Grey blend, which if you look up, it's not necessarily one that's recommended. Her philosophy is to do a couple of different jars, and that way you've got a backup. So you've got your SCOBY. Once it grows and you can divide it and make another jar, then you've got one always that's just a classic version. And then you can take the extra and then from there start to experiment with some of your other flavors. Now the raspberry and peach that she did was very good, and it was a standalone. You didn't have to add any flavoring. It was already really good like that, which I personally thought the classic basic kombucha recipe tasted really good. So we'll see. I'm excited to get to try some different flavors. She had some that had like blueberries in them, and you let those ferment in your bottles after you've bottled the first. And then she had some with mint leaves that she had tried, and I would like to try that. I have some mint growing right now. She had some that we talked about ginger. She had a ginger version, but the girls and I agreed the kombuchas we drank from the store were a lot stronger. So we're going to try adding like larger pieces of ginger. She's not crazy about it, she said, so she doesn't normally do that, but I would like to try that because you get a lot of health benefits from ginger. So part because you didn't want to handle your SCOBY without having your hands really clean. You pour this liquid and the SCOBY. I'm going to touch it actually. And now we're just going to finish filling this up. And she had hers pretty full up to the rim, right? No. Felt like that? Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So my SCOBY, I'm worried about him. Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're finalizing the kombucha. So we've had it in the closet now for like 10 days, going on 11 days. And I'm gonna let you take a close look. This is my SCOBY. I first thought that my SCOBY was not gonna make it, but it's totally okay. It totally rose up to the top. It looks really gross. But here's the rules of kombucha. So I have washed all of these bottles. So we ended up buying like a 6-pack of kombucha because the bottles were the same price as just going ahead and buying them filled with kombucha. So we drank all of these while this was fermenting between me and the girls. And now we have washed them and we are rinsing them with vinegar. It's really important. Soap and water is fine, but you always want to rinse if you use soap and water because in the class we learned that someone had problems with their SCOBY dying because of soap. So it's just important to, I'm going to always make it a rule to do the vinegar just to be safe. So we're going to be bottling up all of this. We take the SCOBY out with about 1.5 cups of this tea, and then we'll be adding some flavors. So I'm going to kind of show you guys that process. Alright, so you always clean your hands with vinegar. This is super important. And I have cleaned all of my utensils with vinegar as well. So just going to really give my hands a good washing thoroughly with vinegar. That kills any bacteria on my hands that could hurt the SCOBY. If you got cuts on your hands, you'll find out where they are. It burns. Now I'm just going to reach in here and grab it. Wow. Go ahead and get my 1.5 cups of got my water boiling for the next batch. I'm going to do 1.5 cups of this, and I'll put this in reserve because we'll use this to start the next batch. So I'm just going to set that aside. And before I start bottling that, I'm going to go ahead and throw my tea bags. So I'm going to do 5 tea bags, And I'll have this brewing while I'm bottling, and that kind of helps with the process. So we're going to take 5 tea bags and throw it into this pot of water I just boiled and let that steep for 10 minutes. And then we'll add our sugar to that, and that will be our food for the next batch of SCOBY, or for the next batch of kombucha. So I brought my water to a boil, about 4 cups worth. Now I'm just going to let my black tea steep in there. So, lid's on, that's going. So now I'm just going to kind of reclaim my hands a little. Get that timer going. And now we're ready to bottle the kombucha. So I have my little, they recommended stainless, and that's what I'm using. I've cleaned it with the vinegar, and I'm just going to bottle it. Ooh, too much, too much. I was too excited about that. So note to self, that little thing can't handle a lot. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room at the top. And then I'm going to add flavors to some, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then to some, I'm going to leave it plain. Okay, so we've got our bottles. So we've got 6 pretty full bottles. And the next step will be to add some flavoring. So let me grab my juice. So as long as you use organic juice, you can really try any flavor that you want to try. I really preferred the blueberry, so I found this blueberry pomegranate that I'm going to try. She didn't have that as a flavor, but she just did raw blueberries actually. And it's 2 tablespoons of juice, and the ones you want to put flavor in. Also clean that with your vinegar. I'm going to do 3 flavored, I think, and 3 not flavored. So we'll just measure that out and pour that in. And then you allow this to ferment another 7 to 14 days. So now you can, it is ready at this point. You can drink it at the 10 to or even 7-day point, because my oldest daughter does not prefer a strong kombucha flavor, so she already did hers early at the 7-day mark. Ooh, that one's gonna be full. You kind of have to just play around with what flavors you like and how strong that you want it to taste. And I know my youngest daughter really likes a strong flavor, so she's gonna let hers ferment probably a little longer in the bottles. But I'm gonna do 3 flavored, 3 not flavored, and I'm probably gonna let these sit for another 7 days. Once you're ready for the fermentation process to stop, you'll put it in the refrigerator, and that'll stop the fermentation. At this point, the kombucha will develop more of a fizz or carbonated type carbonation of sorts, I guess. And so I like that. I think it makes me feel like I'm drinking a soft drink, but a much healthier version. So it's really cool. So it's all ready. So I'm going to put this in the box and put it back into the closet where it stays at that nice warm, a little bit warmer temperature. And we'll check on these in about 7 days and see how they're doing. All right, cup of sugar in, and we'll let that dissolve really well. And then now, once that's done, I will put that back into my container and then add the SCOBY back in with filtered water, and the process will start all over. I'm hoping that this means I'm never going to be without kombucha, because I really learned to love it. I didn't not like it at all at first, but it's good. I think it's really healthy. It gives you probiotics. It helps to feed the gut, the good things that you need, and certainly much better for you than a soft drink. So I'm excited to try all kinds of different flavors. She's tried all kinds of flavors. So we're going to stay with our black tea, because that's a basic kombucha recipe, the basic kombucha recipe. And then you can also do flavored teas. And she had some that was made with like raspberry tea, and I don't remember what the other one was. But anyway, it was really good. So You want to make sure all your sugar's in there because that's what the SCOBY feeds. Ooh, that's what it feeds on. All right. So we learned that you should always let your SCOBY be at room temperature. So once you do your first batch, it will be. But like that day we had been to class, I came home and we put them in the refrigerator until we were ready to use them. So I'm not going to skip the vinegar, even though I feel like I've already done it enough. But so you add back that liquid, and then you drop your SCOBY back in there. And mine probably can be divided, and it's going to float up, I hope. Pretty good. And now I'll recover it, and this will go back in the closet to ferment for another 10 days. So it's really not a hard process. A lot of the length of it is just allowing it to sit and to do its thing. So I think it's going to be super easy. I'm going to save a ton of money because just buying 4 to have 1 a week when I would go like to Whole Foods, I was spending about $20 to $25 on kombucha. And I feel like I'm going to drink it more and have more benefit from it because I'm going to have it more accessible, and it's super cheap to make. So all the ingredients that I bought, probably I don't have $10 in that, and we can make lots of batches. So this can work out really well, I think. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this process. It was really fun to take the class. I really encourage you to check out your local farms. A lot of them are offering all kinds of classes this time of year, from canning to classes like making bread, kombucha, whatever, in order to help them sustain. And I think it's great to support them. And it was also really a fun thing to do with me and my girls. So I encourage you to take a look at those, take a look at their websites and see if they offer things like that. And I would encourage you to give kombucha a try. It's not a hard process, and you'll be glad you did. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.